On the other side, House Democrats, with the help of two Republicans, are doing excellent and critical and vital work investigating the coup, including a planned meeting with the ex-president's son, Don Jr., who's reportedly actually planning on answering questions before the committee voluntarily. But believe me, if the Republicans take Congress in November, Mitch McConnell and Kevin McCarthy and the rest of them, they will do everything in their power to help Donald Trump, the man they once spoke so forcefully against, get back into power. Betsy Woodruff Swan is a national correspondent for Politico, where she has extensively covered Congress's investigation into January the 6th. Her latest piece is titled January 6th Panel Piecing Together Details of Final Trump-Pence Call, and she joins me now. Betsy, it's great to see you again. Thank you for making time for us tonight. Let's start with Donald Trump Jr. here for a moment. He has appeared to be, from what we've learned so far from the reporting out there, a linchpin to a lot of the communication that was taking place around that day in his dad's position in office and Mark Meadows. What do we know about this potential meeting between Donald Trump Jr. and the January 6th committee? What are they keen on trying to piece together?
We expect the meeting to happen at some point in the coming weeks. Donald Trump Jr., of course, is at least the third member of Trump's family who's going to voluntarily appear before the Select Committee. That just shows the extent to which Trump world resistance to this panel is pretty rapidly melting away. 6 months ago, I would have been shocked if you told me that Don Jr. was going to voluntarily cooperate. But based on all our reporting, he is. What we've recently learned specifically about him is that he was weighing in during the January 6th attack directly to Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. The Select Committee has released texts showing that he texted Meadows during the attack, saying that a tweet that Trump issued calling for the people attacking the Capitol to quote unquote remain peaceful or stay peaceful was not enough. Don Jr. basically told Meadows that Trump needed to do more, needed to take stronger steps to try to quell the violence. He's in a really interesting spot because he was never an administration official, but he was very closely connected to Trump's political operation, very closely connected to the grassroots and the donor communities that supported Trump, really has his finger on the pulse. And the fact that during the attack, he was weighing in that way and watching things as closely as he was means he's going to have a lot of unique insights. The question is just how candid, how forthcoming, how open is he with the panel?
So quick question on why he's doing this voluntarily. Do you have any insight as to why Donald Trump Jr. agreed to this questioning voluntarily?
That's a good question. Unfortunately, I don't know specifically why he chose to go involuntarily, but I would assume it's for the same reasons that Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner went in. They don't want to get subpoenaed.
I know that you've reported on one of the latest targets for the committee, in part writing, quote, in recent weeks, they've learned even more from several high-profile witnesses who were in the Oval Office while Trump berated Pence for refusing to overturn the election. Yet one crucial gap remains. Top Pence aides say the former vice president was in his residence when the call came in. He then left the room and was out of earshot for about 15 to 20 minutes. Critical timeline there, Betsy. What is the committee hoping to learn from that phone call?
What they want to know is more about the level of pressure that Trump put on Pence and then the ways that Pence grappled with that episode. What we've reported in this piece is that some of the longtime Trump aides who were in the room listening just to Trump's side of the conversation were shocked when they realized that Pence, for the first time that they'd ever experienced, was actually putting his foot down, was actually pushing back against President Trump. For the entirety of the Trump administration, Pence was seen as somebody who was pretty much always on board with everything. That phone call, at least for some of the listeners in the room with Trump, was the first time they ever really heard him push back, and it was an extraordinary moment for him. That said, even that pushback, even then, Pence tried to do it in the most deferential way possible. We also learned that his team tried to wait until the latest possible moment on January 6th to say publicly that he was going to refuse to do what Trump wanted him to do and to certify the Electoral College results. But still, Pence got as close to that line as he could, but he didn't cross it, and it had historic consequences.